throughout life, we'll be faced a lot of hard decisions that we're gonna have to make. Like, do I go to this college or this college? Do I save my money and get this one big thing, or do I just go and blow it off on some little stuff I know enjoy? Do I come to class today, or do I just skip it and maybe I'll do my impromptu speech next time we come around? So, and when we have these big decisions we have to make, it kind of triggers that flight or fight response. Do I stay and face it, or do I run, and cut my losses? Well, Robert Bryan said, when the going gets tough, the smart get lost. And I agree and I don't agree on that quote. And so I'll be talking about why I agree, why I don't agree, and some examples of, what this quote applies to. Okay, so first off, why I agree. Sometimes you just gotta look at the facts and be like, okay, I'm not gonna make it. Like, let's say you enroll in a class, you don't do the homework a few times, fail a few tests, and you look at your grade, you're like, can I really pass? Sometimes you're like, you know what, yeah, if I do all my work and get 100% of all my exams, I'll make it. But realistically, it's probably not gonna happen. You're just like, okay, I can't do this. I'm just gonna stop right now, get a W, and call it a day, try next time. And so in that sense, the quote does make sense. The smart get lost. You gotta realize, you gotta look at the facts, what you have in front of you, and kind of just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna make it. Or maybe you do realize that you're gonna make it, and so you stay. So it's not really so much as being smart, it's just kind of common sense on, what decision, and then using your common sense to decide on what you're gonna do. And so in that sense, yeah, the smart, do get lost when things get hard. But on the other hand, that's also not true. Because, you can be friggin' Albert Einstein. But if you don't have courage or determination to do anything, you're gonna get lost you're gonna, run away from pretty much everything. And so think about relationships. It's not smart to be in a relationship, to give someone so much power that, just one little thing they say or do just completely changes your mood. It can either ruin or make your day. I mean, that's not smart. And if you were smart, you would just not be in a relationship. But we all know that, relationships isn't about logic. Relationships is emotion, it's feeling, it's having that companionship, and willing to do anything to keep, someone that close. And so you don't look at logic. Instead, you look at, you follow your heart, or whatever the saying is. And, you get in a relationship, even though it's going to be hard. It's not practical. Maybe you'll even get married, even though you don't want to. Have kids, even though you say you didn't want to. It just changes you like that. Or maybe, you decide you have to make a really big decision. Like, let's say, do I go to community college or university? Like, if I go to university, I'll get all these, fancy classes, and I'll be able to say, yeah, I went here and only went here. But you also kind of have to, face the facts and be like, well, if I go to community college, it's cheaper, it's a little bit easier, and, I'll be able to, if I don't know what my major is, I'll be able to decide. But then you think of it like on a social aspect, like, oh, you went to a community college? Well, I guess. But then, you have to kind of face it. Like, do I spend all that money just so I can get, a little bit of a smile whenever I say, oh yeah, I'm in university? Or do I go to community college where it's smarter, in the sense, saving money financial-wise, and then have to deal with people going, oh, community college, cool, And some examples of this, I already gave you a few, but let's say, like today, you had a chance, you had an option to do an impromptu speech, or, you plan one out. Logically, if you're like, okay, I know that I can't make a speech up on the spot, I should probably do, make one up beforehand. But then you're lazy, you don't want to do it. And so you're like, pass. No one cares, no one's really paying attention. But, logically you gotta be like, yeah, I'm just not gonna make it, even though I have to stay up tonight for 4 hours and, make some BS up, at least I'll be prepared. But, and then on the other hand, it's like, okay, I can maybe do an impromptu speech. I know that I'm not gonna have time to make a speech, and if I even attempt to plan one out, it's probably gonna be crappy, like 1 minute, PowerPoint pictures that I'm just, gonna poop out everywhere. And just put it on the board and be like, I did it. And so then logically you're like, yeah, I guess, I'll just do an impromptu speech, because I'll probably be better than whatever I can make up in 25 minutes before the class starts. And so, when they say, when the going gets tough, the smart get lost, I guess it depends on what you're going to do, Thank you for listening.
Well, I'm going to start with the delivery issues because I think you've got an interesting way of communicating. You sound like, I know what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to be very direct with you. You've got a tone in your voice that says, I'm not taking any garbage from anybody, and I like that. It comes across pretty effectively. Your body position does the same sort of thing. You stand in the one spot very confidently. You're facing forward most of the time. Your facial expressions, you have some good expressions. They're subtle for the most part. At the end, maybe there's a couple of exaggerations that you're doing, but I think it goes along with that persona look. I'm not one of those people that I'm going to take a lot of crud from somebody. I'm going to tell you what's real and what's going on. And I think that comes across pretty effectively. I think a lot of people are going to respond to that sort of persona as a speaker. So you use your persona well in the presentation. I think that's pretty good. So your voice projects well. There's good variety. The content I thought was very nicely developed. You had some good examples that you talked about, and when you've got you got a couple of examples, and you're just talking about things that it's always easier to do that and feel more confident. At least for the first 2/3. I think when you got to the last third, I don't want to say you went off the rails, but the stuff that seemed so effective in the first part of the speech was a little bit less effective in the second part. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't that you were a completely different person, but all of that confidence and that certainty and that attitude that I was talking about at the beginning felt a little bit less so in the last third of the presentation. And I'm not exactly sure where it happens. You want to pay attention when you watch your speech, kind of listen, but you start using the phrase, and I'm going, where did this come from? Because like the first part of the speech, you sound like you know what you're talking about, you're confident, and then you get to maybe the third example, and it's this, that, here, there, and that's the only thing that gives any indication that there's any uncertainty. So, if you can hide that, you'll be in good shape. Even if you don't feel that way, then you'll be much more consistent, and I think that would come across, very powerfully. As it was like, I'm thinking, this is a speaker knows what they're talking about. I'm maybe even a little intimidated thinking about what's going on until you get to the end and go, now she's just like everybody else. She's got some anxiety issues, and that's how it's coming out there. So that's the thing that I thought was most noticeable about the presentation. Content, everything is really solid for the most part.